All right, well, I'm here with Taz, former ECW champion, who's done it all in this business and has been everywhere. And right now he's hosting his radio show. Taz, how are you doing?
Good. How you doing? I appreciate you doing this with me. It's great.
All right, thanks. Thanks for coming on. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while, so thanks for joining us. So I wanted to ask you, you got the Taz Show, Body Slams and Beyond, daily 2-hour show that you host. It's now available as a live video stream. It started off as a radio show. How did your venture into the internet radio community come about?
Well, it's all because of CBS Radio. So CBS, they are trying different genres in the world of streaming video and audio. So that they feel, and a lot of big broadcasting companies in the radio world feel like audio it's become an on-demand deal, especially with the success of podcasting everywhere. So CBS go another level. They really want to start to put a lot of time, effort, and money into VOD, video on demand, and live video. So it's kind of like I think it's something that they've been throwing around for probably over a year and a half. And when they brought me in to do the podcast, I was just doing a podcast like all these other guys, where I was just doing a weekly thing. But I wanted it to be more, so I put more into the show and did more of, instead of being a guest-driven show, I was more of a topic-driven show, and that perked the interest right away from the CBS radio executives instantly. So within like a month, and they said, look, we think that you have the ability to do not just a daily show, because you have a history in radio and your ability to be a broadcaster in TV. But we do think that looking at the numbers and looking at the numbers compared to when you have a guest, and the numbers compared to when you talk about a topic and how detailed you are, and because of your history as a trainer, as a broadcaster, and as a wrestler, that you kind of cover all facets of breaking down a match or breaking down a show, breaking down a wrestler. So CBS, felt like, if you're interested, we'd like to maybe let you keep rolling a little bit and then get into possibly doing like a daily show. So I'm all in. And because I had done radio for CBS years ago while I was in WWE as a SmackDown color commentator. So I kind of was already, they knew me, we had a history, and then I kind of fell out of doing radio. But it just was good timing. I got lucky in the timing because, I was interested in doing when the podcasting all started, and then I was interested in doing stuff with Podcast One, for example, because they had, Stone Cold Steve Austin. They had JR at the time. They still do, obviously, and Jericho and all these guys. And I'm like, this would be cool. And then they talked with me a little bit, Podcast One, but it just didn't work out. They really weren't that interested. And I'm like, okay, cool. Sirius Radio, and then I talked with Sirius, and they weren't that interested. Okay, great, no problem. So see, every time someone's not interested, or for whatever reason, it built motivation for me, and burned my fire higher and hotter. And then I started just put my think cap on, and it was really a strange coincidence. I just heard from CBS like 2 weeks after that, and they were interested in doing something with me, and then it just took off to the level that it's at now. It's been awesome.
Yeah. And you started it while you were with TNA, right? You were still still actively commentating. Were they pretty supportive when you started it?
TNA, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. TNA was totally cool. They had no problem that I was doing a podcast. Even once in a while, they would promote it on the show while I was commentating the TNA show. They would let me promote, like if I had a guest on from TNA, like it was Matt Hardy was my guest, I could promote it, and that was cool. Yeah, we had a totally. TNA was great about that. I got to say, they were really good with cross promotion. Yeah. When I was doing the podcast version, yeah, they were great.
And you were with TNA for a while. I think it's been like 6 years. It's longer than I think a lot of people realize. How would you say your time was with them overall?
I think that it started out great, first few years was awesome, and then it just kind of slowly, for me, they always treated me cool. I can't say that, but I just like my what's the word? My passion for them after about 3-4 years started to just kind of dwindle. And it was just because you see a lot of the same mistakes behind the scenes and with front office people, and it was very disappointing, and it was very, just my opinion. They seemed a couple of people in the high up in the chain just seemed content with being number 2.
Yeah.
And I used to say, if you're content with being number 2, you're going to end up being number 3.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened, So for me, I always believe, you strive to be number 1. You strive to be the best and kill, destroy, and smash everything in your way. That's just my mindset. So it was really strange for me over the course of a few years getting used to that mindset there, that they were content with that. And that would not the wrestlers, not the wrestlers, okay? I'm not talking about wrestlers here.
Right.
I'm not talking about the talent. I'm talking about upper front office, high-end people. For me, I couldn't, jump into that. I believe in you got to strive to be number 1, and that just wasn't the mindset there. But I had a great time there. I have no regrets. I mean, I when I first went to TNA, like I said, the first few years was awesome. I'm thankful and grateful that they gave me the opportunity they gave me. No, I have no regrets at all. I just the last. Probably, definitely the last year and a half or 2 years of my time at TNA, I just, again, they treated me fine, but I just was, they wanted me to become more of part of the machine, and I just couldn't embrace some of the thought process there and the lack of fight by some of the, top people. So I couldn't align myself with it. And then it was obviously financial issues with them and stuff, with paying people on time. And I understand sometimes there's cash flow problems in business, but it just happened too much, and I just had to get out of there.
Yeah,
it was very simple.
Yeah, I think a lot of wrestling fans, really want TNA to do well, because wrestling's always best when you got strong companies going. And and now TNA, they're in this. There's a lot of speculation now. Do you think there's what do you think they can do at this point to turn things around, or has it gotten too late?
I don't think it's too late. I think that it looks like their ratings are doing pretty decent, and I hope that, they strive to be number 1 and be your best, and I don't want to see them go out of business at all. There's a lot of people that I like a lot that still work there, and even if I had people, and there are people there that I don't like at all. And I don't want to see those people out of work either, even though I don't like them. I don't want to see them out of work. I don't believe that. I believe in, I want to see everyone do well. It's just good for the business, to your point. So I want to see them do great. I do. I don't think it's, I think they like always, they still have an opportunity to do great, to do good stuff. I think they have a little bit of a creative issue there. That's a constant creative issue, and I think there's also a brand awareness problem. And when you're there, you really know it. Meaning that there's not enough money spent on building awareness for the company and for the wrestlers. And that's not the talent's fault. That's not the production people's fault. That's not the creative team's fault. You got to spend money to make money, and they just don't spend money on brand awareness.
Right.
That's one of the big problems there, honestly. They always had a good eye to have really good talent. Their talent's excellent. It's always been the case. I remember when I first went there, the roster, I was just so excited to be part of being a color commentator, to get an opportunity to analyze and call matches for some of the talent that was there, and still there, So they've always had a good roster, always.
Yeah, and you got Global Force Wrestling also taping TV. Is there just too much wrestling? WWE is putting out so much product now between Raw and SmackDown, and then on NXT on the network, and then you got TNA and Ring of Honor and Lucha Underground. Is there too much wrestling on TV now for a company to break through as a viable alternative to WWE?
Excuse me. I don't think so. I think to answer that question, I think it really depends on the type of wrestling fan or wrestling enthusiast you are. Mm-hmm. If you just want to watch Raw every Monday and you don't want to watch 3 hours because it's too much to invest in, you want to check it out for an hour and then watch Monday Night Football and be a casual wrestling fan, then that's cool. But there's also the opportunity, if you're a diehard, hardcore fan and a proud member of the IWC and all this kind of jazz, there's just a plethora of wrestling penetration on television and on the internet to watch, to watch tons of different programming. From what New Japan does on Access to, to Ring of Honor to TNA to all the NXT stuff to all the WWE stuff on TV. There's just so much, and so global. Jarrett, I'd say, hey, the more the merrier. I mean, I think it's great. I think it's great for the business. I really do. And to see something like, for example, with ESPN, their relationship with the WWE, that just shows you the strength right now and the popularity of the industry. So for someone who is the global leader in mainstream sports like ESPN to cover on a regular basis and have a relationship with the WWE is huge. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if people that work for, TNA or Ring of Honor or Lucha Underground or any of those companies or even independent wrestling companies, all those wrestlers and those promoters and production people and referees, they all that don't work for WWE, they need to be happy that that's happening because the WWE is the hood ornament of the industry, okay? So if they're getting that kind of publicity, it's good as a whole for the business.
Absolutely.
But
yeah. I was going to say on the flip side of that, it does seem like WWE, they're more, they get way more mainstream coverage than they probably ever have, even more than the Attitude Era. But at the same time, on the flip side, the ratings are lower than when they got no mainstream, coverage, like back to the 90s.
It is weird. You're right, and it's weird, because I think because now there's just more platforms. There's more ways to watch stuff, and maybe it is a little bit oversaturated. Yeah, it could be, to your point, for sure. But, I think it's just like if you're getting too much of it, then that means maybe you're just not that big of a fan. If you aren't getting enough of it, that means you need more. I mean, I think everyone's different. I think ratings, too. Now, I never was one of those guys that got hung up in the ratings and numbers. I know it's important, but you can't really, I remember working for Vince McMahon. He would say the same thing that Paul Heyman would say to me and the same thing that CBS says. Mm-hmm. And it's like, the key is it's not ratings, it's content.
Right.
Content. Just keep doing good content. That's the key. And the rest will work itself out. I mean, because you can't control ratings. And you know what? There isn't exactly some perfect science on these numbers either,
Yeah.
So it really isn't. So it's like people get hung up in it. Frankly, on my show, that's something that I don't even talk about a lot. I don't get into the whole ratings thing.
Yeah.
I don't because I've seen how it works behind the scenes, and I know there's a lot of gray. Right. So it's like I'm not going to waste time talking about stuff that I know is kind of a little fugazi and really not really a perfect science. Why am I going to waste my time talking about it when I don't know what's true and what's not and how accurate these numbers are? Come on, it's like, really. So for me, I'd rather, I'd rather not. I try not to get into that too much because it's just like I don't really pay much attention to it, to be honest with you, unless it's a rating that's flopping or they did like some crazy number, like, whoa, that's something different. That's really newsworthy to me. I mean, I'm not one of these guys that comes on my show every day. Oh yeah, the ratings for this was this and that. It's just not me, man.
Yeah.
My listeners don't want to hear that. My viewers don't want to see that.
Right. And one thing you did talk about on your radio show last Friday, you were talking about Seth Rollins vacating the title, and it's coming at a crazy time when you got John Cena on a hiatus, and Brock Lesnar kind of just finished his current run until he comes back. It's a bad timing, but also an opportunity.
And you got Randy Orton now hurt with a shoulder injury.
Yeah, exactly. Do you see it as an opportunity?
Absolutely. Oh God, as a former wrestler,
yeah.
Oh jeez, that's a huge opportunity for so many guys, and it just trickles down to NXT. It's an opportunity for those guys. So if you're a young NXT guy or girl who's maybe opening match right now, well, there's a good chance there's going to be a trickle-down effect in a positive way where they're going to pull up a couple of these talents from NXT. Once they pull up, boom, here I am. I'm going to slip right into that spot at NXT. It's all about opportunity, to your point. So, yeah, I definitely think it's a massive opportunity in the WWE on the main roster, as long as it's given to, let's say, a guy like Cesaro, which I don't know if they'll do that. I hope they do. Or let's say they give the opportunity to Kevin Owens to go even higher than he's at with that Intercontinental title, or ADR with with that whole U.S. title thing and whatever's going on with him and Seth Coulter, which is weird in itself. So, they can go all different routes with it. I mean, they have so much talent, and that's what I talked about on my show. They have guys that are game ready. They have guys that are plug and play. So while everybody else is panicking like Rome is burning, I can assure you Vince McMahon has dealt with a lot worse than this, than his world champion blowing his knee out, and then he has to vacate the title for now. I called it before it happened. I hate to toot my own horn, but I knew it'd be a tournament gimmick, and that'll work perfect. And I think it's definitely an opportunity for a guy like Roman Reigns, which on my show today, people were calling in and watching and talking a lot about, and I was talking about it too, about this is a great time maybe for Roman Reigns to turn heel.
Right.
He might have an opportunity here for this guy to turn heel, but my point was about that. Not to get into too much creative stuff with you here, but my point about that, which I said on my show, is it's cool if Reigns turns, and he can, but I'm from the school of, and I think WWE kind of usually thinks like this, that you don't turn a guy until the guy is really at his highest peak as a babyface or close to it. And Roman Reigns is not at that spot. John Cena, obviously, all those years has been, yeah. But you usually, you don't turn a guy unless he's really high up there in that babyface level where everyone's connecting to him. Where Reigns has got like a little bit of heat here and there with fans, and some fans love him. So it's kind of a weird gray area.
Right. And I think one of the things people remember with you a lot in your ECW days was your promos, and they were just so believable. It just seemed like you. It didn't seem like there was anything that you were planning to say, or like you had notes or anything. It just seemed like it was coming out. When you went to WWF, because they started moving more to scripted promos, I guess they've done it for a while. But how much of your promos in WWF were just you, and how much how much of it was scripted?
Good question. Not a ton of it was scripted, because just the way it was when I was wrestling there for WWF at the time. Mm-hmm. You had an option, where they would, if you wanted, they would completely script out, write a whole promo for you. Mm-hmm. Okay, or which I preferred, and several guys did. I preferred just some bullet points. Give me bullet points. What you want this promo, and I'll make my own. So. No, my stuff wasn't scripted. There was two problems with my promos in WWE. Actually, three. One, I wasn't allowed to finish it the way I wanted, meaning to really build my catchphrase that was built already, right. That I did in ECW for all those years. So that really wasn't permitted. The length of it, my promos were not long, and I didn't get a chance to do it enough. A lot of them, I was kind of, that's how it was to me. But, when I was wrestling for WWF, it was a totally different time then. It was different than now. I mean, I'm in the wrong time. I mean, back then, if you were like under 6 foot, 6'1", well, good luck getting over. It was hard.
Right. It
was not easy. Now it's like if you're athletic and you're explosive in the ring, and even if you're a little undersized, you get a push. So I'm happy. I'm happy for the guys today. They're lucky. They're very lucky, and they're all great, all of them. So my promos were, they weren't really scripted. I'm not built that way. Like even with the Taz show, with my stuff, even when I was just doing the podcast, human podcast machine, I just joke about it. Like I can't work off paper. It's got to come out of me. You complimented my promos in ECW. Because Heyman let me be me, those were me. Those were how I really felt, like it was all real. I was not playing a part. I wasn't playing wrestler. It was my life. Truly, my lifestyle was that Taz character, So that was it. That's and I was given a lot of time on the promo, and I was getting a push, and we're in WWE, not so much.
Yeah. What were the differences between working for Paul Heyman and Vince McMahon?
Well, You mean
I know there's a
those
lot.
two guys as men?
Yeah, and as bosses.
Well, okay. There is a lot of differences between Vince and Paul, but yet on the same time, there's a lot of similarities. You know, which is really unique. I mean, look, their passion for the business obviously is pretty well documented. They're both like amazingly passionate about the business. They both are just workaholics, like non-stop workaholics, non-stop. They both are, geniuses in creative and in the world of the business. They see things before everybody else sees them. Well, we're all looking at trees, they're looking at the forest. So like they just see it. The difference is Vince is a little bit more of this is the way we got to go, and he's more of a little bit more of a micromanager than Paul. And I'm talking about Vince when I was wrestling there, and as an announcer, he was definitely more of a micromanager than Paul. Paul gave you a lot more freedom. So that was a big difference, that part. And, for me, working for both those companies, the major difference was the size, just the pure mass of the WWE. You truly felt like you're a part of this machine that you see on TV. You really feel like it, and that's cool, but yet it's very, very easy just to be a cog in the wheel, and there's a lot of cogs on that wheel. When ECW, a smaller scale, is not as many cogs on the wheel. You know what I mean? So, and if you made a mistake or you weren't getting over with ECW, you kept getting second, third, and fourth chances. WWE, that's not how it works. You get a couple of chances and you mess up, and then after like 2 or 3 times, you're done. Not that you're done, but the chances kind of end. Yeah. So they don't have time. That machine's too big, moving too fast. Right. And the other thing I want to say, again, this is years ago. When I went to WWE as a wrestler, the direction that I was given was a little cloudy at times. Well, I don't know who you want me to be here, and they didn't know who they wanted me to be. But they knew what I was doing, they didn't want it to be. Like, okay, well, what I'm doing when I first came in worked. We heard the people in the garden, so something happened that was working. So, but they revamped it and changed it. And they didn't know what they wanted to change it to, but they wanted to change it. So, again, different time in defense to the company, to WWE. I think now it's a little bit different, but it was just ultra competitive then, and there was a lot of backstabbing going on. Zero camaraderie a lot of times. It was just dog-eat-dog wrestling business, attitude era, very tough. It's try to survive. Here we go. It's a war zone. Let's do it. That's how it was. So it was tough.
Right, and there was a very strange incident that you were involved in during the Attitude Era when Mike Awesome left ECW for WCW, and then Paul Heyman booked you against Mike Awesome. You were full-time WWF. Mike Awesome was WCW in an ECW ring for the title, and then after that you appeared as ECW champion. You had the match with Triple H. And Triple H pedigreed you and Tommy Dreamer. Looking back on that, was that a mistake, do you think, for ECW and for Paul Heyman to go that route? I mean, it's way back.
They had to. I think they had to. Actually, people, if they want to hear my full description and story on that, let's do it for free. You go to my show, and I did. I don't know if it was definitely during the Human Podcast Machine, but you could find all the archive shows at just TazShow.com, and they're all free. So. And I do discuss that at full, the whole deal when I wrestled Mike Awesome in Indianapolis while I was on the contract too. That was the first time, as everybody knows, a WWF wrestler wrestled a WCW wrestler at an ECW event. So for an ECW championship. So that'll never obviously happen again. So
right.
But it was a crazy time, and it was just like it seemed like more like WWE was doing ECW a favor because ECW was having an issue where they thought Awesome was going to go throw the title in the trash can, the ECW title in the trash can on Nitro. So WWE didn't want that for a couple different reasons, and they definitely wanted to help. I knew right there when I heard from Vince McMahon and stuff, and Bruce Pritchard at the time, that they were trying to help Paul, and they felt like I'd be the perfect guy to come in there and do this thing. I'm like, yeah, no problem. And that's kind of how, that was the kind of mindset. Do I think it was a bad thing? No. I think it was a good thing. Yeah. It all came from the right spot in the WWE's heart. Paul needed a little help. And they helped him.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would be bad. To me, that was, I think it was fine. Why do you think it was bad?
Well, I just meant like Triple H giving you both the pedigree before you had your title match. I thought overall it was good until that spot I thought was,
Well, yeah. Well, look, I mean, it's you see the same thing with stuff with Sting that they did, when he came. Look, the thing is, you're in their house. Mm-hmm. It's the WWE's house. So I'm wrestling Triple H on SmackDown in Philadelphia. It's a perfect scenario. So now, let's have Triple H beat not just Taz for the ECW title in Philly on TV, but Dreamer will come try to save him, and he'll get bumped in pedigree too. So that works out perfect for them, but I don't think that killed or hurt ECW because it played into the story of a couple days later that I wrestled Dreamer in ECW and gave him a shot at the ECW title because he screwed me because he came in to help me or whatever the hell it was, and then so it actually all played into each other. I don't know how ECW told the story on TV. I mean, but I don't think that hurt. I understand your point about Triple H, in the WWE, pedigree, myself and Tommy, and there was no pushback for me. I was under contract with WWE. To me, look, people get hung up in semantics and of the business, and they get hung up in their pride and all the stuff and losing matches and that stuff is important at times. And I talk about a lot on my show that losing matches is kind of important, but worse than losing matches is not getting paid. Okay, so this is a business. Guys are in this to make money, and this is a living. You got to have your pride. You got to care about losing and winning. That's important. But at the end of the day, it's about your career and it's about feeding your family. And you only have a short window to make money in this business. So, any young wrestler listening to this or reading this, whatever, it's just text or audio. What are you doing with this? I was
going to do both.
Okay, well, whoever's checking this out, I mean, young wrestlers need to just realize, man, at the end of the day, it's not that you want to go out there and be it's not like prostitution, but it is your career. You got to get paid, So if you I always say, if you work at Burger King and you tell your boss that, hey, I'm cooking fish sandwiches, no, cook Whoppers. No, I want to cook fish sandwiches. No, cook Whoppers. Well, I feel like cooking fish sandwiches. Well, guess what? Then you're fired. I mean, you're not doing your job. It's the same thing with wrestling. We want you to lose. Well, I want to win. Well, I think I should lose. I think I should win. Well, we think you need to lose. Sorry. No, I think I want to win. Okay, well, then you're gone. I mean, it's that simple. They pay you. You're getting paid. Right. So it's but, we all get hung up in the creative end of things and why they doing this, why they're not pushing this guy, why did Taz have to lose and get pedigreed, and why did Dream have to get pedigreed too? Something went right. Here we are, how many years later, and we're still talking about it.
Right. No,
I don't know.
That's a great point. And since September, you've moved your show to daily, and now it's also available in video format. Talk about how the show has grown, and have there been many challenges moving to doing it daily?
A lot of challenges, but awesome challenges. It's extremely hard. Every day I have a microphone in my face for 2 hours and a camera in my face for 2 hours. Every day. So I'm giving 10 hours a week of original programming by myself. So every day, when my show's done, the next day I have a show to do, and I have a blank piece of paper in front of me.
Yeah.
And I had to come up with a show. I do it alone. So that's the challenges. I love it. I'm having a blast, and I'm very fortunate to get the opportunity. And thanks to all the listeners and viewers, because it's really growing rapidly, and CBS seems extremely ecstatic with everything, hence why they give me such a big platform, big opportunity. And this is just the beginning of it. I mean, it's just this is just with my relationship with CBS, and I'm under contract with these guys, and I God willing, and it seems like it, I'm going to be with them for quite some time. So it's not easy. A lot of people think that it happens in wrestling a lot too. You hear it a lot with wrestlers where because they could cut a promo or talk, they don't think, I'm going to get into radio. Oh, okay. I used to think, I'll tell you, I used to think that too. And then I started doing radio years ago, and I realized how hard it was, and I built some respect for it. But people throw that word around radio all the time. Okay, well, good luck. Because it's different, man, because all the years as a commentator in wrestling, right, I had a pitch to play off. I had a match to sink my teeth in and talk about while it was happening and commentate and sit there with a partner, yada, 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 yada. And the ratings and the numbers, no matter if they're important or not, weren't contingent on my performance. Now, the amount of downloads or listens or whatever, or impressions on my site, that's all contingent on my performance and my creative. It's all on me. I can't point to the play-by-play guy. I can't point to whether the talent sucks. Oh, well, that match was horrible. Well, the production crew's not good. This, that. No, it's me. It's all on me. So, I'm the promoter. I'm the marketer. I book the guest. Whenever I have guests, and I analyze and break everything down. I bring the entertainment. For those that have never watched my show or listened, I bring a lot of energy, and I'm 2 hours full throttle. So it's not just some laid back, chill out type show. I'm kind of it's kind of sophomoric. I have a lot of fun with it. It's very, I goof around a lot on it. I don't take myself too serious. Sometimes I do, and whenever I do have a guest on, it's very loose. It's not an interview. It's just conversation, just catching up with guys or whatever, or just learning about guys, just having fun. It's just, if you're a guest on a show, you can't take yourself too serious because I'm going to rip you and joke with you. And callers, it's live callers, so callers call in every day, and I have great callers that call in and fans and stuff, and they can't take themselves serious either. I get on them and they get on me. So we have a lot of fun. It's a loose, fun show. I cover some mainstream sports too. I'll cover some pro football and baseball, college football. So I do cover that stuff too. So, but it's probably 90%, the sports entertainment, pro wrestling.
Right, and I've listened to it many times, and it's 2 hours, but it goes by really fast, and it's
thanks.
Fun
That's nice. It's nice to hear that. From a guy like you who does all the stuff you do with the business and covers the business. To hear that's going fast, that means I'm doing something right.
Absolutely. And where all can people catch it right now?
The easiest way, CBS always tells me, Taz, you could get hung up with different Twitter accounts and with TuneIn's Twitter and Play It's Twitter and Radio.com's Twitter. The best and easiest way for everything, the video and or audio, is Taz Show, Taz at 1Z, TazShow.com. And the video's, VOD, so it's video on demand, so you can watch it anytime. The audio, so basically, this is simple. I do a live show, the audio portion of the show, live, and video live. And then right after I do the show, about an hour later, the audio part of the podcast drops every day. So it's a daily podcast when I'm done doing it live, about an hour after I do the show. And about 2 hours after I do the show, the VOD, the video, drops. Clips and the full show. So it's it's all there. So TazShow.com is the best way. That's it all goes through. That CBS owns that. That's their gimmick, and that's where you can find. That's the complete platform for anything audio and video of my show.
Well, thanks a lot, Taz. I know you're really busy. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. Do you have anything else you'd like to plug?
No, I'm good, man. I appreciate it, and I want to thank you for helping me promote stuff out there. You always putting out. You guys always put tweets out about my show and all that, and I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.